What should we talk about today?
I was thinking maybe we talk about like when we first bought our house and kind of I don't know, the emotions, the process, just everything we learned from that. I think there's some good little nuggets in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's, I don't want to say shaped, but plays a role in how we show up today.
Yeah, people talk about, it's different or whatever. Like I would actually say like life changing. Like it definitely, from where we were to where we are now, what was the catalyst or, what changed it? And I think it was maybe not the sole piece, right? But it was definitely a piece that definitely changed the way our life now is. So
yeah, I feel like it went from, I don't want to say like little kid, but it was an adult changing thing. That was like, oh, we are in charge of our lives now. Because I think with the military, and they not only tell us where to live, but give you a place to live, it's easy to just lean into that and be kind of dependent on that. But it's also scary because it's like, okay, well, what happens when we get out? Or what if there's like a medical situation that they kind of, they force you out and we're not ready. So just weird little things that kind of came up on us quick, I think. But so where were we at in that time frame?
I think it was crazy. I think I had been serving for 17 years at that point. So like, I feel like it was, I mean, still when I say it out loud, it feels like it was late in the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like to grow or buy a house or whatever, especially at a duty station that maybe we weren't going to stay at forever. Like at the time, it was, I'd spent 4 or 5 years trying to leave that duty location. You know what I mean? So,
because how old were we? Were we so like 35, 36, 35?
30, yeah, 35, 36. Yeah.
Yeah. But also the transition there. So at that duty location, that was our 4th location at that point.
Yep.
The kids were just starting to enter like preteen, teen years. I had no affiliation with the military anymore. I'd already finished
that was wild.
Serving. So no active duty, no guard, like no income from the military on my side at that point. So financial differences at that point too. Didn't want to put roots down, but we had been there for 5 years, rented a home when we first got there. That didn't work out as well as we wanted it to. Moved on base, and the kids were outgrowing the space that we had on base.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't want to plant roots, we had become established at that point. And I'm not a big planner per se. I'm just like, hey, got an idea. We're going to do this. So I don't remember how it happened, but I do remember basically just saying, hey, I'm going to apply for a home loan.
We're going to go look at houses today, right?
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. I don't remember if the lender or the agent came first, but they were both military affiliated. The lender was a spouse, and the agent was an active duty. No, he was retired.
He was retired, yeah.
Yeah, retired guy. So easy to connect with. Kind of that blind trust, like we connected with him. So we're just like, I don't even know if this is going to work. Right. We're not, we had babies young. We had 3 kids before we were 25. So kind of a weird financial situation when we're both young. We're PCSing all over. And most of the time I was guard. So I'm still having to find that civilian job or pay daycare, all the things. So we weren't even sure that this was a reality for us. And that was the reality at the time. We didn't really have parents telling us how this works. Like we were just kind of figuring life out on our own at that time. And we were tired of living on base. So it's like, let's see if we can even make it work. I think at that point I did have a full-time contracting job, maybe GS. I don't remember which stage we were in. So it was like, okay, we've got the income. We've been here and established financially. Kids are outgrowing. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it was crazy. It just kind of came up. It just never felt like a possibility, to be honest, right? Like, it was like, hey, we're going to fill out this, application, see what we qualify for, and then you see houses and whatever. But like, I don't think for me, like, it never was like, oh, this is actually going to happen. It was just kind of like, I mean, I'll give it a go, but, I don't want to live in X town or Y town. I don't really, right now I could walk to work because I was on base. I didn't, but I could, what I mean? It didn't seem realistic to me. Like, it was unrealistic. And
kind of just going through the motions like, all right, we got nothing to lose because we still had a house. If it didn't work out, we were still on base. Like, it was fine. I don't think I had the best of credit. Like it was just limited credit or whatever. So I think it was kind of like, there's no way this is going to work. Right? It's not a reality for us, but if it can be, and we had no money. I think we might've put $500 down for earnest money and we needed it back. Like, we're going to get this back, right? Like, we paid.
I got to buy groceries.
Yeah. I think we vaguely understood that there was like no money down, which at the time, I think we were like, oh, that means we don't have to pay anything. We get a house for free, right? That's how the VA loan works. And I find a lot of people feel that way now. But, the reality is there's no down payment, but there's still costs involved.
Sure.
But the market at the time, we had $0 that we had to bring to the table. But one thing I wasn't aware of, and I find now connecting with people too, is, we went into it, the both of us are going to be on the loan. And it was like, actually, maybe it'll works better if we just keep Ben with his full-time active duty pay and let's remove Sarah because, her credit's not wonderful. And so I didn't even know that was an option, that you can you don't have to have your spouse on there if it's not a benefit.
Sure.
It was a little weird to feel that way, but at the end of the day, I was happy that the lender knew that there was options to make it work for us.
And I think you hit a key point there too. While it was definitely weird at the time, I can think about that and like, it kind of feels like ick, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, but between the lender and the agent, our agent knew, but he wasn't like really, but the lender, they never made us feel like less than. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, this happens all the time. You know what I mean? Yep. It's a situation you're in right now. Right. We're going to get you to a better situation. And here's how we're going to get you. Like, we'll get you in this house and it's going to change things. And again, didn't quite believe it. Didn't see the facts. Didn't know because I was not connected in the real estate community or lending or anything else.
Right. We were completely.
But yeah, like you said, it was, from my perspective too, like, man, we're trying to say about my wife. You know what I mean? But that's not how that came across. As we retell the story, I'm like, yeah, it did feel that way. But
I think you just assume that both people have to be approved.
Yeah.
And that's not reality. So it's actually kind of cool in a sense.
Yeah,
like
right.
It wasn't like, it's better now, but the point being like that one particular piece maybe could have prevented us from ever even asking because we made an assumption that credit score or whatever the situation was going to prevent us. But if we would have continued with that belief and never asked, we would have never bought a house.
Correct.
And I find that true with a lot of people, especially when you have single income. Like you just think, this isn't going to work. You have to have two incomes. And sometimes it's true. It depends on the market, depends on where you're located. But, it wasn't an extremely poppin' market where we were at the time. So there was room for us to figure out a plan and make it work. But going through that experience, we can now relate with other people and, let them know, hey, we've been there. Like this isn't anything to be embarrassed about or feel a way about. And maybe they're not embarrassed. Maybe they just assume, and we don't need to assume. Ask the question. Is this possible? Should we do this? Can we afford it? I don't know. Let's find out. Like, let's look. There's no harm in looking. And then for us, it worked out.
And it also worked out, that lender and that agent were they didn't work together, but they're kind of tied together. So when they fed the information, our agent could go and negotiate on our behalf with the correct information with us or help us find the right piece. And I think that agent at the time, recently fairly retired in that same area. We had worked on base at the same time, but not like, in the same circles. But on my side of that, being able to connect with him and have conversations about real world stuff because he'd been there. You know what I mean? He'd done that when it comes to, hey, what happens with the job or when I PCS or I had a billion questions. You know what I mean? Well, if just so many questions I had, and he was just like, man, it's no big deal. We got this, or hey, here's how we attack this, or here's how to look at it from a strategic standpoint. So having somebody who had been through it was super important, especially for me as someone who was. I didn't say I didn't believe in it, but I didn't think it was possible, right? So I had somebody else going, hey man, fix your way of thinking. This is possible. We're going to find a way to get it done. But worst case scenario, if you don't get it done, we're going to build you for the future, kind of stuff like that. So.
Right. Yeah. That's the other thing too. Like if it doesn't work now, here's some steps you can take if you want it to work out.
Yeah.
So that's good too. And we have that come up too. Sometimes people reach out and they're like, hey, I want to buy a house, but I don't know if I can. well, let's look, let's see where we're at. And either the answer is yes, and here's how we'll make it work, or the answer is not right now. It's usually not ever no. I mean, there might be some caveats to that, but yeah, so that was how we decided. It was just kind of out of the blue.
It felt like it was out of the blue.
Yeah.
Or I want to tell you, it's like, no, we planned this and here's strategic and how we did it, because that's how my brain works sometimes. It's not how this situation went,
Yeah.
for sure.
So looking back, that first piece, having that connection with somebody that understood our lifestyle and wasn't judging us and was there to like work with us, and it was a relationship built, that's, I think, what stuck with us moving forward. And at the time we didn't understand that, but we had a positive experience with our first time home buying because of that. So after we got through like the lending part, I don't feel like we looked at that many houses.
Maybe 5.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's a lot. But for people that are very like specific, like I wouldn't say I'm not wishy-washy, but I'm specific.
Very specific.
We walk in and even if it could have been the right house, if it felt wrong, nope, we just turn around and walk out.
Yeah, those first.
So I feel like the no's were very easy and the yes was an immediate yes.
So again, not trying to be negative Nancy on this. We walk in the house, she's like, "This ain't it."
Nope.
Like in each time, and it was super funny because I was like, "Hey, give it a shot. We're
Yeah.
here.
The
Let's walk
agent
through
too,
it."
he'd be like,
the agent like, "Ah, man."
No, but look at this, look at that. No.
But what we've come to find out, after we've been doing this for a while, is he was really gauging what's important to
Yes.
us. So we walk these houses to tell him no to a lot of things. So he's in the background going, "I'm going to find, or I'm going to clock all these things, right? So that way I know what you're looking for.
Right.
So that way we can actually find you."
Right. He wasn't like persuading us
No.
to not listen to our gut or whatever,
Yeah.
but
He wasn't like, "Oh, you can just, DIY this if you want to." We're like, we're not interested in DIYing
Yeah.
at this moment in our life, right? And so, he was like, "Okay, cool. So we don't want anything that needs to be upgraded. It doesn't have to be, the highest upgrade or whatever, but they're not looking for something that's maybe dated, right?"
yeah.
And so I think that was just one of the key things I think he clocked in on us. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And location mattered too, because Joe was, so where we were, you could get your license at 14.
14, yeah.
We're like, I'm not giving him a license at 14, but maybe he got his permit.
Learners,
but,
yeah.
But I guess
I
think he did when we left. Either way, who cares? Not necessarily. But point being, the school, the base, and the neighborhood were all within like a less than a 5-mile radius. Yep. So it was comfortable to allow, our growing children to kind of start to get that freedom on their own outside of base. Sometimes there's the false sense of security living on base, and we kind of let them run wild. Not really, but we didn't. But some people let their kids run wild on base, and now that we're living off base, the security thought, I guess, of that with our kids out by themselves was a little heightened at that point, because I'm like, oh wait, there's no gate around.
Right.
Like they could wander completely away.
It definitely changed conversations, right?
Yes.
It changed how, hey guys, what to look out for, and they got to do a little grown up too. So that was, take the opportunity for that. So
yeah, but then so financially, okay, everything worked out. So one thing I noticed after the fact, didn't really notice in the beginning. So we did our home inspection, we did all the things. I think we asked for a couple repairs actually before we got there. So we made, I think, a very, very low ball offer. We didn't know, inexperienced. I'm sure the agent told us what he told us, and we were like, no, fuck that. We don't want to give, who knows? I don't remember our mindset really. I remember we gave a low ball offer. I don't remember how low it was. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. We're sitting in bed. We get the call, and they're like, they countered at this price or something. And we're like, no, I can't. Or no, I think it was closing costs. I think it was like a deal breaker.
Correct.
We have $0 to buy this house. Like, we need closing costs covered, period. And I think they came back and said, no, we're not, or half or something. We told the agent, we're like, can't do it. So, oh, well, it wasn't meant to be. And like, we were settled. We're like, guess it's not meant to be. And I can't remember if he called back that night.
It was that night.
Yes, he called right back. Like we got off the phone. We're like, oh well, we gave it a shot.
Yep.
Oh well,
Shoot
we're
your
still
shot.
comfy in our bed and comfy in our base house. No harm, no foul for us. It didn't change anything. And then he called back. I don't remember. It was before midnight, and called back, and he was like, okay, they said okay.
Congratulations. Go to bed.
Wait, for real? For real? Like, is this real? So it was like, I don't remember the details, but I do remember we put whatever offer we put in. They tried to negotiate, and we just couldn't. We didn't financially. We weren't able to accept it, or we were scared, or I don't fully remember. And so we said no. Thought it was the end of it, and then they came back and said, "Just kidding. Come buy our house."
And like
so we did.
And it's so funny because you look back on that, and you know, from our perspective, first time home buyers, never done this before. First offer we put on a house,
Ever.
whatever, right? And then our agent comes back and says, "Hey, we need you to meet them like halfway. Here's blah blah blah." And I'm like, "We don't have it, man. Like, we're gonna pass." And then, you know, and then he calls us back. But in the meantime, between time, now we know what's going on. A good agent, right? An agent that knows who's going to take care of you is reaching out. And he's like, hey, here's what we can do. Here's the limit. You know, are you letting this, are you going to let this deal, talking to the selling agent, are you going to let this deal drop over XYZ? Like, let's find a way to make it happen. And, you know, while it ended up being great, there potentially were some other concessions on the agent side or whatnot that we don't know about, right? That we get a chance to do all the time. So from our perspective, yay, it worked, right?
Yeah.
But you know, the agents in the background are they're working hard to get these deals done.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny when you think about
the blind kind of, we just followed along and
whatever you say, it'll be, right?
Yep. Yeah. So that was cool. And then, so we moved in, first house ever.
I want to remind you just a little bit on that too.
Yeah.
So we showed these first 4 houses and they were a huge no. And I remember agents like, hey, I got one it's coming soon. Like it's coming on the market like today or whatever. You guys want to come check it out? And I'm like, oh man, he's trying to hustle us, right?
I think it was Easter too. Like it was the timing was off.
And we were like, fine, man. Like in my brain, we already saw 4. Sarah doesn't want a house, right? like she's seen it, whatever.
Say no to everything.
You know, we roll up and from the outside, you know, it's a house. It looks nice, but whatever. But when we walked in, I don't know. Just when we always say that you'll know kind of thing. We walked in and we kind of looked at each other like, whew, and then there was never a no. Like the entire time, it was just like, it just felt like the house kept growing and in our hearts and getting bigger. And we saw where our family was. We were able to place that. And we found that on the 5th house, right? After 4 complete no's. Like we weren't even considering those, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it was great. And I think showing the other houses and having those conversations with our agent, I think he really had us dialed in and found this unicorn for us. Cause that's what it felt like. It felt like every other house was exactly the same. And this one was different.
This house was better in all the ways for us and different. Like everything was different about it, and perfect. So it was interesting, that we walked in and it was like, oh, we can find something we like, and it had everything. So it still kind of was like, eh.
Yeah, it was
there's no way this is gonna work. This is perfect. Everything's perfect. And then the extra that we had, I don't know how we didn't pay attention. Our daughter's best friend lived next door. We didn't notice. Like we knew she lived in the neighborhood, and we had dropped her off before, but for whatever, I don't know. We were just our
brains are going
sights
100 miles an hour.
weren't paying attention. And then I think after we walked away, like we knew before we were like buying the house, but I think we had walked away like the next day or while we were putting the offer. We're like, wait, so and so lives right next door. Oh my God, that would be so cool. And then that was just an added benefit that fostered that relationship, and that family is still. I don't know why that makes me cry. I'm remembering leaving.
It was a hard one to move.
That was a great relationship, and so this is the emotional factor. Like we never wanted to live in this state, and then we ended up buying a house right next door to our daughter's, I would say, friend at the time, and then they became sisters, and they're still sisters to this day. And I'm crying remembering. It's crazy because I don't think about it. But so we lived in the house 10 months, got orders. So here's another, right? We've lived all the crazy that goes along with home ownership in the military. We got orders 10 months after we bought that house, didn't have the equity. So I think we might have been able to, but it just didn't make sense. So we ended up renting the house out. But because in those 10 months, our next door neighbors, became family, and the daughter there became our daughter's, sister, and, just watching her and watching that relationship kind of, I don't want to say torn apart because it stayed intact, but literally having her crying on the sidewalk as we're driving away was obviously has stuck with me my entire life. But I think of her like another daughter. So, but like when we say we've lived it, like this emotion is real, right?
Yeah.
Like I get it. You're leaving behind a piece of you. That was our first house. We loved it. Again, didn't love the state we lived in, but it worked. That worked for us. And I hear all the time, you know, people find houses that they like or they're coming from another place and that mindset sticks with you. We had an amazing backyard. We had a farm behind us where we would see a horse or cows or even a donkey back there. And it was really cool. It was just, there was not a lot of people around. We loved our neighbor. It was a great first time experience. And so then going to the next place, we didn't get that yard. We're now, and it wasn't here, but it was a similar, where we went next was similar. Everybody's like, backyard is right. You know, you're sharing fences now. And I'm like, what is this? So it's interesting when we hear other people, you know, they come here with a certain idea and it's like, I get it. It's just not what we have here. So like we've lived the experience of kind of, I don't want to call it a letdown. It's just a change in mindset, having to change. That's not what's here. What's here is this. And this is how, you know, let's focus on what's available versus what we're leaving behind.
Sure. And I think that's a really tough one. Time and time again, I feel like, you know, we've moved so many different times, but finding here and finding, you know, we're going to kind of, hey, where'd you come from? Because we've probably been there or we know somebody. So what are you looking for here? What was great about that? So those are the questions we ask. I think that's what you're trying to say. And then we can like, okay, well, it's not that, but here's something is, or something similar, or something that's going to bring you joy, or at least, I don't know, make you feel like you can still live the life that you've been living, that you like, right? You know, if you're escaping, great, you're escaping, welcome, right? But if it was great and now you're coming here, how do we make here great for you? So,
because we get both. You know, we're so excited to leave wherever we're coming from. We're happy to be in California or whatever the situation is, and that's quote easy, you know, because they're not coming with any preconceived notion or hatred for where they're coming, because we were those people in a couple places.
Yeah, we definitely.
Or the opposite, where they are upset that they're here and they're like, oh, we are leaving an acre behind and, you know, we had no neighbors and now we have to figure out how to coexist with people next door to us, and being able to go, I get it, literally, like we also left similar things. But here, let me tell you why this is cool or why it ended up working. And I don't feel like we settled, because we're on a lot. We have a new construction or a newer construction home, and had to put money into, you know, building up our what I'm going to call a small yard. But so there are things that we had to get used to. I never thought I would live in a neighborhood where, you know, all of our fences are connected.
They're all connected, yeah.
But, you know, what, 2 years, 1 year? I don't know. But whatever, from walking through houses so often, I got to kind of experience, even from my mindset of agreeing that, you know, it sucks that these yards are small, but being able to kind of compare and find the good and find the positives and find, okay, this will work for now. This isn't always your forever home. So let's look at how we can fit your lifestyle into what's available. Like I can't magically give you 2 acres. It just doesn't exist unless you want to drive 3 hours. So,
or spend a lot of money.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. There's a couple out here that, you know, a couple million, you can get your land. Yeah, so it was nice that we've had that experience. And then so leaving there, so we've also had the rental experience. We can get into that later. I guess it was not much to talk about. It was a positive experience for the most part for us. But we then ventured into, okay, now we're leaving. We don't have time or money or whatever situation was to go do house hunting ahead of time. What's this virtual house hunting
This is
look
pre-COVID
like?
Too. So is, so it's not.
It wasn't a common thing.
No, not at all.
So found another military affiliated agent, and she was great, drove around and showed us everything. Everything was FaceTime. It worked, but you know, we kind of took from that as well, because I started my real estate career getting at that location when we got there. But so now we've got 2 different ways of looking at a house. We purchased a house kind of felt like out of the blue in person and saw what that looked like. But because we had experienced that, I think we kind of were able to know what were deal breakers. We understood we weren't going to be here forever. So there were some things we could settle on. But a different experience, because we did it sight unseen with a different agent. So we got to see two different vibes of how that works.
Yeah, that was kind of weird too. You know, sitting by your phone, laptop, computer. You know, as somebody else is walking the house, you can't smell the smells or hear the sounds, and those are, you know, she's the smells and I'm the sounds guy, right? But she did a great job of communicating that because again, she listened to us, right? And she knew our struggles because she lived our life. So it was like, these are the things that are important. So, you know, she'd walk in and be like, it's noisy here, or hey, it smells like this, or here's the smells outside or the noises outside. So again, another great agent that just was dialed in and because we couldn't be there. So yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And she had like I don't want to call it gossip, but some of the things about each neighborhood, she would give us her personal experience, and, you know, not to sway us one way or the other, but just to really be like, hey, because you're not here, because you're not from this area, you don't know this nuance that everybody else does know. So she would bring it up. And I think we took that into our business as well. Like, I'm not here to sway you or make a decision. I'm not you, so I don't know if this is important to you or if this would be a deal breaker. I'm just here to present the facts of a little nuance. Like, you wouldn't know this unless you lived here, kind of thing.
And she explained really HOA fee because we didn't have HOAs in the previous spot. So what they cover, what they didn't, why they're good or why they're bad. You know, are you willing to accept this extra? So that was cool. Like for me, as you need all the facts too, but I like, you know, like as I'm organizing everything, you know, into its columns to where it goes. You know what I mean? It was really helpful for me too. So
yeah. So we've experienced most of what other people are experiencing, which I think.
And then we moved here. Like, you know, how long did we stay at that place?
I think we were only there 16 months. So,
I worked there 14 months.
So we get it.
2 months early.
We've lived all the worst case scenarios.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, because school started down there in like the beginning of August, right? And so I wasn't able to get down there until like sometime in September. So
end of September or
something. We moved the family down in July.
Yep.
I went back and hung out for 2 months and then drove down and started work down there. So but 14 months. Like for me, 16 months total for the family. So that's a quick turn.
One full school year and then half. They all left in the middle of a school year. So we had those struggles as well too. Sure. You know, we talk about transition a lot, and that's kind of the point of this whole podcast is how we get through transition and how we connect with other people. But
luckily, you know, we came here, right? And we still, at the time we weren't like, we're staying in California. We actually were, because we had been stationed here before, and while we love it and there's a lot to it, you know, we're still trying to explore the world and talking about living in Alaska and all kinds of crazy, right? And then we come here and didn't know how much we actually love Solano and we loved, you know, this area. So we were, because we had these other properties, like what's the next step, right? We don't want to keep, you know what I mean, like overextending ourselves or get rentals, whatever. So, we said, we'll rent first and then we'll take a look. Yeah. And I think that was probably great because it just, our other investment matured, right? So when it was time to sell our first house that we bought, we were able to take all the equity we had on that, and we started the new build experience. So now we have experience in that too. So it's like, it was just like, we were building our resume with life. We didn't realize we were building a resume as agents at the time. It was just like, this is the next step for us, or this is what we're interested in. And, I just think it was really cool kind of how, like I said in the beginning, our first home purchase, maybe on a whim, maybe not, right? You know what I mean? It was the right time, and it really, it changed the way we can do things. So, by the time I actually do retire and we're done doing the military job, you know what I mean? We have a place, we have some equity, we have, financially we're in a much better spot, but even just, the feel goods and everything like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It really set us up so we went from probably never thinking it was possible. It just maybe wasn't on our mind as a possibility. Yeah. We were in different survival modes and different, life stages that it wasn't on our mind. But when it became on our mind, it kind of felt like we didn't even have the support from, our family or whatever, because for whatever reasons. So we truly were kind of doing it on our own, but we went from, I don't know if it's possible, to here's how we make it possible, to, oh no, we're leaving. Did we make the wrong choice? Yeah. To leaving again from another place to just a whole different world. But that first question of, is it even possible? Got the yes. To fast forward for 3 years, only 3 years. How did we only own that house 3 years?
No, we owned it 5 years.
Did we?
About 16. Sold in 21.
Okay, so no, we sold in 20. 21? Who cares? I didn't realize it was that long. I guess because we lived it in a year and then it was almost 2 years. Okay, whatever. So
sometime
it
in
was a
between there
5-year.
too, I did refi it too. So like my mortgage and my rent and everything, it was a very good financial advantage at the time. So,
Yeah. So by the time we were ready to purchase up, so to speak, right? We have a big family now. Are we retiring? Are we not retiring? You know, the kids were, well, two were still in high school. One's in college. Like, are they going to come back? Do we want space for them to come back? Like, you know, whatever. But we had that equity. It just so happened that those guys, our tenants, got orders at the same time we were planning to buy a house. It was like boom. It just,
like I said, it
all
just
worked.
they all stacked up and they all went up this time.
And if you would have asked us 2 months before we bought that house, we had no
Absolutely
clue.
not. No.
We had no idea. We were just like, hey, this is what you do when you're an adult, right?
Yeah.
So it worked out great for us. And you know, there's things that could have gone wrong that fortunately we didn't experience, but you know, we've experienced with our clients. But anyway, it was an overall great experience and still is. And obviously, you know, it fueled me getting into real estate.
Absolutely,
So when we left that area, such a great experience with the first agent, such a great experience with the second agent. Mentioned before, I was kind of newly like full-time civilian.
Yeah.
Had leaned on my medical really hard in Alaska, and it was great. South Dakota wasn't so great. I mean, it was fine. It ended up being fine.
being great. It just,
but when we went to the new location, it just wasn't working. So whether I wasn't fitting in or it was because it doesn't matter why, but it wasn't working. The civilian side of making money wasn't working the way we wanted it to. So I don't really remember how it happened, but
so I'll make it quick. So we get to, I came home from work one day and you're like, hey, I talked to some guy. What do you think about me being a real estate agent? And I said, there's this class and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you kind of look at the bank account and you're like, I think we can swing this. We can make it work.
like you got 6 months.
And that's what I told her. You got 6 months. And then, and then 2 months later she was full time. So yeah.
And I've been like an entrepreneur before I even knew what that word was. Like, I don't know if it's our upbringing. I don't know. Who cares what it is, but that also lends to, again, like you've had this bright idea of making money as a self-starter.
You also had the bright idea to buy a house, and that was a great decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bright idea to continue to grow our family. Yeah. You know what I mean? I bring things like a dog home. That's not always well, and great, and I love them.
I'm bringing dog home too.
But you know, that's not always not always a positive growth thing. You know what I mean? It's a loving thing. We love our dogs.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So that experience has helped us stay connected to our clients. We've been there. We've done that. We're not just, you know, we didn't come from money. We didn't come from, you know, some things that sometimes you can't connect with other people because they haven't lived what you've gone through. For the most part, we've lived a lot of the similarities of other people that we've worked with. And I think that's, we keep relationships and we keep it real with people. Literally, like we're very authentic. We're not here to sell something that we wouldn't do. And like, I told somebody just the other day, like, not that your money's my money, but I'm not going to spend your money in a way that I wouldn't spend my money. So like, if I don't think this is worth spending my own money on, I'm not going to coach you to do it. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to make your decisions for you, but you know, we're real. We're not, I don't want to walk people into a shithole. But at the same time, I don't want people to miss out on the benefit that they could. It wasn't a huge benefit for us. I see it be a huge benefit for other people. Are there nuances and crap that go along with it? Sure. But overall, homeownership has changed us as adults.
And that first one, I can't say it enough, right? Feels like it's unrealistic, right? Yep. Then it feels like, you know, it's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. Highly emotional, you know, moving from on base or wherever you're at that you've lived probably for a long time. You know, I'm not going to find new friends. Instantly found friends. Not going to find this. Like, there was a lot of negative emotions and a lot of negativity towards it, or even just
scared. Maybe not negative.
Fear. I think that's the key. And to go through it and come out the other side in such a better place. I think it's it's just one of the crazy experiences of our lives. And, you know, we're here to hopefully guide other folks through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's get through these fears. So if you think something's crazy and you're talking to us, like, it's not, trust me, we've been
Yeah.
there or we've had that conversation, but how do we go, okay, let's turn that crazy into something good or not manage it, because that's not what I look, but like shape it differently, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it's the end of our story. So we've got, we're real, we're authentic. We're here to walk through this journey with you and help you find your place.